Pleasure to speak with you both. Congrats
Pleasure.
on Lumina. And
Thank you.
Eric, your character, Tom, he's got all the Black Ops knowledge. You deliver some important lore. There's also some action-filled sequence in there. What did you like most about this character?
Before we begin, your background is badass, man. That's so cool. Uh,
Yeah.
my guy is he's a former government employee. I have knowledge of all the government's um, finances that are connected to this research on aliens. So I'm the linchpin, between facts and money and myth, and I'm the guy who knows it all. And fun role to play, man. And I had a really cool leader, Gino, who took me on a really cool trip. And it's a fun ass movie because it even if you're closed minded to aliens, this will make you peak because it's cool.
It's definitely cool. And Gino, you wrote the script and wound up directing it as well. What was it that kind of inspired this core concept? And I was curious if it took a lot of iteration to get to its current form, or was this always kind of the
Oh.
idea?
Um, I probably had like two drafts. I wrote the first draft in 7 days at my uncle's house in Florida while I was visiting him. But I wanted to get to like, the psychological effect on people when if they experience abduction, someone close to them, someone that they love, if they're abducted, how would that psychologically affect them and how far will they go to save that person? And yeah, and the story is about like, Alex taking his friends on a journey basically to save the one he loves and their friend. And what happens during that journey. So that really inspired me in terms of like also meeting a lot of people from MUFON, a lot of former military and former like, Black Ops, Marines that spoke about, their experience with aliens, with UFO phenomena, and that really inspired me to do this movie, as well as how someone would be affected. So if it could happen to me, it could happen to you, kind of thing. Like if you're put in that situation, how far would you go? And it's very relatable because parents that have a child that's abducted, could relate to the same way. Like, okay, so if my loved one gets abducted, happens to be by aliens, like how would I go? What would I go about, you know, in that case, looking for that person and trying to find them? And what would be my psychological mind state in that present situation?
Yeah, there's so many interesting themes explored throughout this. And Eric, I love where your career is at because you're really using your name value and your acting skills to help some of these projects get made. And it's so hard these days for original projects to really come out, especially in theaters. So how do you kind of feel being involved with such a wild amount of projects, but also really giving back in a way and helping these films get made as well?
It's satisfaction. It's like getting kissed back. It's just wonderful. When you give somebody a kiss, you get kissed back, it makes your day. Well, that's kind of what my life is like. And it really is. I'm not just making shit up to be nice. Yeah, I have a great life with great people. And every day I get to go to work with somebody not unlike Gino, who's smart, gifted, and cool. And it's really fun for me, especially being an older guy now, to watch all the young guys who were just on it, especially Gino. He was on it. We had so much fun making this movie because he knew what he wanted, how he wanted it, and here's how we're doing it. And he was a cool leader, and he's also not a bad actor.
I love that, and that's definitely a good life to have. And Gino, it takes a while for the aliens to finally see them, but when we do, we get a pretty cool design. How was it kind of coming up with their look for these aliens here?
I was inspired by a lot of stories from people I spoke to and their depictions and going down that whole rabbit hole of what people have seen in terms of aliens and everything else. And then I was also inspired too, but like, one of my first movies that I loved was Predator. So John McTiernan Predator was like really inspired me, and I'm like, yeah, I love that, and I love like the whole Predator look and everything else, and that inspired me, as well as experiencers and their personal experience and what they saw, the people that I spoke to. And we went about designing it, and we tried different designs and stuff like that, and created different aliens for it. And that's how we went about putting it in the movie. And we did both creature special effects, and we did like practical effects which is creature effects, and also visual effects. So we combined both of them.
Yeah, and there's a fun credit scene as well, so people will definitely want to stick around for that. And Eric, one thing that's been really cool to see over like the past 2 years is that Suits has just become such a phenomenon, and you had such a fun run on that show. How's it been seeing that show really just light on fire, years after the fact? That has to be pretty neat.
Well, I have never been involved in that kind of, delayed reaction, and that it was a hit, and we got attention both professionally and privately, and then it went away, and then it exploded, and we and then these 12-year-old girls are saying hi to me now because I love you on Suits, and who know nothing about my career, but they just know me from that show. And so I have a whole new audience now. It's really kind of fun. And that show is so much fun. I got to tell you, that group was so on it, but it was the hardest job I ever had because we speak in monologues all the time, speeches, and they hand you rewrites every 5 minutes. It's a very hard show to keep up with, but it's a fantastic group, every one of them, especially Gabe.
I,
I love him.
I love that. And Gina, my last question, you're also a musician, so how was it also getting to provide music for Lumina?
Oh man, it came full circle because I came to LA to sign with the labels, and I decided to go independent and start writing movies. And this was a dream to put my music in movies and hear people, and to put it in the right positions, because music supervision is an art by itself. Putting the right music in the right scene takes, like, you're thinking above like normal, like, like just a normal case of just like, slotted music. You have to be very careful in terms of what music you put in certain scenes to make it work. So I was really happy, man. I was really blessed to be able to do that.